It is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, and it is presented by Capital Farm Credit. So glad that you are with us on this Wednesday evening. I'm Andrew Monaco, along with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. Howdy, Coach.
Howdy. How we doing?
I'm doing great. With Lamar coming up on Saturday, 6 o'clock is the kick from Kyle Field, 5 o'clock along the network with our pregame show brought to you by CHI St. Joseph Health. And last Saturday from Clemson, the Tigers with the 24-10 victory. Your thoughts following that game, Coach?
You know, first of all, Clemson's a very good team. Coached very well, deserved to win, played well enough to win. We didn't play well enough to win. But at the same time, I thought we competed well. Can we not hear it? Can't hear it. That's the first time everybody said they can't hear me.
Take two. Your thoughts following Clemson.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him now?
Gotcha. Okay.
There we go.
But, I mean, like I say, Clemson's a great football team. They were very deserving to win, played very well, did a great job. But we had plenty of opportunities in that game. And we played physical. We played hard. I thought we had a good plan. I thought our kids wanted to play well. On defense, I thought we played really well against the run. Gave up a couple big plays on scrambles and some things. And that long drive before half that was very critical. Offensively, moved the ball. In the first half, it was first of all, if we had a drop right off the bat, then we barely threw one, then we overthrew one about 2 yards. Then then we missed a block. Everybody took a turn. There was nobody, and on offense, on any football, but especially offense, it's hard to get in a rhythm. And this guy took a turn, that guy took a turn, that guy took a turn. All of a sudden, those drives are over with, and we played with no consistency. Then, in my second half, and had some opportunities. Then we had drops. Then we had a bunch of drops coming off, but we kept playing. Had a long drive. We had three drives in the game, or 15 plays or more, that we moved the ball. Yeah. It went down, and then unfortunately, missed a blitz pickup, get hit on a throw. Then we drive back. We had plenty of opportunities on offense. Did not play with consistency to do it. Defense played well, but still gave up some plays, and special team was solid. Not at all happy with how we played, but also there's a lot of things. What we got to realize is come out there and learn from this game. Because people say, last year you played them so well. Well, you weren't supposed to win last year. We really thought we could win, and people thought we could win, and they knew we could win. And that's a different perspective when you have to learn how to play those games from your psychological disposition to play in those teams. Being in that position and learning when those opportunities come, you got to take advantage of them and have the poise that don't want to win so bad, play to win. And sometimes you can want to win too bad and let things go a little fast at times for whoever you are. You know what I'm saying? What positions. And we have to learn from that, move on, play a really good game, have a good week of preparation this week, play well at Lamar, because we're going to have plenty of other opportunities to be on the big stage and play important games throughout the year. And that's where I thought.
I liked what you said on Monday. You said the tragedy would be if you don't grow.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, and if you don't grow from it, learn from it, move on, and learn to take advantage of those opportunities and realize, it's a square in, it's a tackle, it's an interception, it's a block. It doesn't matter. You're not playing a uniform. You're playing the guy across from you, and you have to learn to understand those situations in those kind of games.
Just to let the folks here at Rudy's 504 Harvey Road, I get the opportunity to watch practice. It doesn't matter who we're playing on Saturday. All those drills are the habits that you talk about, right?
Exactly.
You don't grade on a curve.
No,
right?
It doesn't matter. And what you got to realize when pressure comes, and I mean this, and it's in life, your habits come straight to the surface. And that's what you do daily and how you practice, how well you practice. It's not, do I do it right twice? Do I do it right every time? And if it's off, is it barely off? And those habits tend to come out when it's really, really there. And like I say, practice habits are extremely important, and that's hard for guys to understand. Now, we're practicing hard, but practicing hard and practicing well are two different things. Effort without execution is useless, and it's vice versa. Execution without effort is useless. You got to have both, and they got to coexist.
I asked you this in the office. Does leadership come up in a week like this? Do you see the leaders saying, okay, we have to practice well this week?
But see, again, it's the same thing. It have to be that way every week.
I got you.
Leadership's got to be there, and your demeanor of your team, the culture of how you want to create things. Listen, winning and success is a learned behavior. It's not natural because it's too hard. Human nature is to take the easy way out. Human nature is to make an A on a test and say, I made an A. I can make a C and get a B. I mean, there's not many people that are wired that want to be 100, 100, 100, 100. And you have to make yourself create those habits. And we're in the process, in my opinion, of still understanding that as a culture of a whole organization, how to do that.
Is that what separated your Florida State teams? Is that what separates an Alabama and a Clemson?
Well, I
they
think
want
it's what
100 every game?
They do, and they listen. They all went through those times.
Mm-hmm.
We all went through those struggles. They all went through those ups and downs. And it gets to a point sometimes at the end of the day, say, well, what is it that makes it? You know what it is at the end of the day? Everybody thinks they got the answer. I'm going to work hard, and they say all the right things, and they do, and then, let me just get one. You know, I'm tired of this happening to me. I'm not going to let it happen anymore. Just like in life. You know something? When you want to lose weight, they're like me. I eat, and I say, you know what? I'm going to lose weight. Now I get tired of it, and I go on a binge, and I can lose 15 pounds in a second. But you got to make your mind up. And then people say, well, shouldn't you always? Sometimes you don't know how. You know what I'm saying? And it's all those things are learned behaviors of how you prepare, how you practice, how you carry it to a game field. And then not care too much. I know that sounds crazy. Sometimes you can care too much and put an undue pressure on yourself. Just relax and play.
It would be, you would love to be able to snap your fingers and say, everybody's experienced. But they didn't experience what happened against Clemson. Like you're saying, the expectation.
No, it's all part of it. It's not an excuse. And you don't have to. Listen, like I tell them, for a freshman, you can come in and play. There's no age limit on in the book. I've seen that you can't play. Well, and it's like this. There's nothing that says you can't learn that the very first time out either.
Right.
And handle that.
Right.
But you got to go through it, and you see where you're at, and you make the adjustments, and you move on.
He is the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. That is Jimbo Fisher, and this is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. We are on Facebook Live. Make sure you check in. Tell us where you are checking in from, and we will pass that along to everybody who is here at 504 Harvey Road at Rudy's Barbecue here in College Station. A reminder that the Aggies and Lamar will be on Saturday. That is 5 o'clock with our pregame show, 6 o'clock for the kick at Kyle Field. And Aggie football and the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show brought to you by Bud Light, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. We'll step aside. Much more Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit to come. This is Aggie football from Learfield, IMG College. Gritty is an absolute game-changing provider of electricity. They are giving Texans access to wholesale electricity with no markups, all for a membership of just $9.99 a month. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit, and we are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Well, we asked you all to check in on Facebook, and here we go. We start with Clarksburg, West Virginia, and I think we're going to be doing that every week, starting with Clarksburg. That's the home of Jimbo Fisher. Chattanooga's checked in. DC's checked in. Lakewood, Colorado. Somebody is watching from the Admirals Club at O'Hare Airport in Chicago. Thank you.
Wow.
Appreciate that. Virginia Beach, Rosenberg, the Permian Basin, Reynosa, Mexico. And we're behind the orange curtain in Austin, so we are getting there. So this is the portion, Coach. I call it the Dave Elmendorf portion, my partner who, the All-American for Texas A&M, who played a decade with the Rams. And after Saturday's game, he talked about getting a chance to go back and look at film, and he said what the veterans with the Rams told him when he was young, the big eye in the sky does not lie.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And I thought, but it's good to go back and take a look at that, isn't it?
No, you have to. I mean, yeah, that shows you mistakes and what really happened. And sometimes that's another thing, what you think happened and what really happened. And, guys got to grow in that area because sometimes, as I say, the game can go too fast, offensively, defensively, whatever, and they're not seeing exactly what really happened. And that's part of the teaching that, we never had it much. I mean, you had film back then, but you never got it instantly. You never got it right after practice, like each and every day. And it makes a big difference in these kids. And like I say, a picture's worth 1,000 words.
That's such a great teaching tool.
It really is. It's the key to everything. When you can see it. And most people are visual learners. Mm-hmm. I mean, most people, over 70% of the people in the world are visual learners. Mm-hmm. So when you can see it visually, it makes a big difference. As
a coach, when you then see them make that adjustment during practice, they're getting it?
Exactly right. And why it happens and when it happens and adjusting as they see it and watch their eyes or their body language or whatever takes them to where they need to go.
The other line that Dave was saying, and this was from the first week against Texas State and even against Clemson, he said Chuck Knox taught him mistake-free football wins. Just 4 words.
Everybody say in a big game think it's not the guy who makes the biggest plays, it's the guy who makes the fewest mistakes. Mm-hmm. It's always that way. You big plays come within the framework of what's happening. It's when you don't make mistakes and you're just when your opponent doesn't make mistakes and when you don't, you put pressure on the other guy. They think, when are they ever going to give me a break? When are they ever going to give me a break? And you don't, and you break them. And you have to make your big plays come within making smart decisions. If you make smart plays, you'll make big plays.
Makes a ton of sense. He also said he learned it's about us. It wasn't about the opponent.
It's not. It is. It control what you can't control them. You're competing against them. Your mind, your body, what you know will react to what they do, and your competitive nature and your strength and all that will happen. But you have to compete against yourself. It's your own mind that you have to convince of how to do things and why to do things and allow yourself to do things.
Now his question is, does this team know how good it is?
I don't know if it does yet. Mm-hmm. I think it's capable, and I think it has. To a team to do that, I think it has to have success and continued success, just like last year I think it had to. And I think it's from, if you've never had it sustained ever in your life, or even if it has a little bit, it's still a learned behavior, and you got to keep convincing yourself every day, and then after a while it becomes a habit too, and that's what we're going to keep working to.
Is that why you constantly refer to it as a process?
It is a process. Yeah. If the process, you don't worry about the score. Everybody says, I say, quit worrying about the scoreboard. Well, ain't it about winning? If the process is right, guess what? The winning will be there. Right. The numbers will be there. You'll do what you have to do. If you lay the right foundation on a house and you keep putting the walls up, you put the drywall up, you put the roofing, guess what? It'll be a house one day. It will be. But the process of doing it, and here's the thing, you can't cheat the process. This game does not reward shortcuts. You may get by with one occasionally, but it will bite you. It doesn't. This game rewards consistency and toughness and competitiveness and all the intangibles that we talk about.
I remember watching a Hard Knocks from some years ago, and that line stayed with me. You want to get by or get better?
Yeah, are you participating or are you committed? In which way you participate? Are you participating on the team or are you committed to the team? And listen, there's going to be struggles. There's going to be bad days. There's going to be hard days. You're going to get challenged. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to get pushed. And we're going to push buttons on you sometimes, because sometimes people worry about being perfect instead of just playing. You can't be perfect. You're never going to be perfect. You're striving for perfection. But you can't worry about making a mistake. As a glass half full as a half empty, you have to play towards success and then adjust as it goes.
Do you coach to what a player can be?
Without a doubt, you got to push him. And it's like, today got into it with some guys. Pushing guys, and it wasn't because they were trying to do bad. They were trying to just play, just play. And then all of a sudden you get on them, they get mad. Get mad at me, and then all of a sudden start playing. See, you forgot about it. And I joke about it. It was a point though. You push buttons to get guys to understand. If you just let loose and let yourself go, and it's hard because human nature is not to lay yourself out there, and you don't want to make a mistake. You can't play that way.
Is it wrong to say in a cliche, but along those lines, stop thinking?
Yes, react. Gotcha. If you're thinking, you're done. You don't think on a football field. You don't think in athletics. You react. You take what you learn and you react and you see it, you process it, just like when you drive. Are you thinking when you drive? You're going down the highway 80 miles an hour, somebody cuts in front of it, boom, there you go. Somebody says, how's playing quarterback? Well, all right, I'm riding down the road. I can see this guy. I can see that guy. I can see that guy. I think that guy's going to do that, but I still got to, and that's what probably should happen. But if it doesn't happen, I got to react and go here. There's a lot of multitude of things that go in your mind. If your mind is thinking about all of them instead of just seeing it and react, and whether it's playing linebacker, whether it's playing DB, whether it's playing receiver, whether it's playing running back, whether it's playing OL, it's all the same. And you have to. It's like the people who drive not to have a wreck always have a wreck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Think about it. If you just drive and go, you're okay.
It leads me to something completely different. Again, I'm going to get off the exit on this. You process so quickly. As a quarterback, I'm not surprised you play baseball because you have to process everything so quickly.
You do. It does. All different sports. That's why I think it's bad for kids to specialize in sports. Different sports, your mentality of how you compete happens differently. In slower paces, faster paces, more thinking, how it goes. And I think the temperament of learning how to compete at different ways really helps you. And also what I loved about baseball is a game of failure. You have to deal with failure. Baseball, if you're 3 out of 10 right, you're successful. Well, in football, you're on the bench. Okay? So it doesn't work that way. But you have to deal with failure in baseball, and you have to process, and it teaches you different qualities of how to do things. And in basketball, because it transitions quick. I ain't got time to worry about it. I already got one down and scored in 2 points. You know what I mean? And football is in between that somewhere. And all your different sports. It's like in tennis, think about that, how quick, a little bit of time, and all of a sudden they can go a 10-play rally, 8. It's just different ways of learning to compete. And our kids are there. Listen, our kids want to. They're playing hard. We have a good football team. We just got to keep grinding and get better each and every week. We'll see what happens.
He is the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. That's Jimbo Fisher. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. We'll be back. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College. Football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station, and this is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We continue with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. Got a little dinged up on that Saturday, and unfortunately we lose Ja'Shawn Corbin.
Yeah, we did.
And unfortunately for the season, he's an impressive. And I say that about a lot of your kids, Jimbo. Just an impressive young man.
Extremely.
But I'm excited about your stable of running backs.
Yeah, Isaiah. Matter of fact, just keep it up on Ja'Shawn. He had surgery today, very successful surgery, and like I said, we started his rehab back, and we're going to miss the heck out of him. He did a lot of things for us, boy, and I mean just a stable that can do so many things. But we have some good guys. Isaiah Spiller's playing great as a freshman. Very talented guy. Ran good in the game the other day. Played really well. We took it down there with him in the game, and really mature for his age. Get Cabote back. And what we're doing there, he was playing really well. He was in the rotation. We were playing earlier, and he got dinged up last week, that's why he didn't play going in the game from a practice. But then he's doing well. He can really run, had some great games. And then we got Deneric Prince and Cordarian Richardson. They got big athletic guys behind that. So we'll be fine. We've got good players, and like I say, that's the thing about this, man. Don't tell those guys all the time. They keep saying, Coach, I'm waiting to play. I said, don't do that. Prepare to play. Because sometimes that opportunity jumps on you before all of us want it to. And you got to be ready to take advantage of it. And hopefully, they practice well, so we'll get them ready this week.
I think of Ja'Shawn, if he took a look at what Anthony Hines did, because Anthony, after he got injured, he turned that into a positive. What a demeanor, and to see him back, it's great to see 19.
It is great to see him back on the field, and Ja'Shawn will too. All those guys, they go through it's some tough times doing that, but the mental part of it's always the hardest. But he'll bounce back, and but Anthony's done a great job. He's playing well for us now. It's great to get him back after that injury, big time.
Ikeno Okeke is another one. You could see him on the special teams. He's another one of your linebackers. It's really not Clifford Chapman back there with that size. One of the DBs. I'm always thrilled, and I like what you said. It really is that mental part. Is it going to be there when I call on it? And I'm really glad that it is for them.
And the grind too of the rehab when you know no one's around. How many days you're by yourself? It's you and the trainer. It's you and the guy in the training room. I mean, it's just. And, dark thoughts, and do I really want to do this? You have to, man, is this all worth it? And you have all those thoughts. And, yes, when you get on that field and you get to play those times, you get to walk in Kyle Field, and all the opportunities we get is definitely worth it because you play it your whole life. And they'll do that and be ready to go.
Ja'Shawn does so much for you, not just down the backfield, but kick returning, but you've got talent there as well.
We do. We got guys back there to take it, and we worked at them, and that's why you work all those guys in the backup role and get them ready to play. So we'll have them ready to go.
It's exciting. Like I said here, these are the opportunities. You have to embrace them, don't you?
Yeah, you do. You really do. Yeah, and like I say, you never know. There's a lot of superstars been made no one heard of. I mean, the opportunities jump out there, and all of a sudden kids, even coaches say, he's not quite ready. Let's don't play him. And all of a sudden he jumps in there, and you go, man, what the heck is it? Where'd that come from? I mean, so it all happens all the time, But it's amazing how people have the ability to rise to the occasion. People rise to the opportunity that's put in front of them.
When we come back, we've got some questions for you, Coach. That's when we continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit from Rudy's 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. And Texas A&M football is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit, together we're better. We're going to get to the questions, but I want to remind you that our partner for Saturday's game is Be the Match, and you can join your fellow Aggies to defeat blood cancer today. Text Aggies to 61474 to learn more. Getting a chance to be with Coach Fisher throughout the summer, the spring into the summer, going around the state for the coaches' nights. Jimbo, I was so excited. You were asked about Be the Match, and they're getting closer and closer and closer to a cure. This is really exciting.
Well, the Be the Match is getting folks for bone marrow transplants. I mean, there's so many different cancers and things out there that, and it's not hard on either one. And when that goes on, but you know, how many people out there that when you can give life to someone, what is the greatest gift you could ever have being on this earth? I mean, and the opportunity to be able to do that and to save someone's life and to be able to help them live a long and happy life. But yes, and with Fanconi anemia, we're in the process of, you know, they believe they're in the right direction, and they can see and how it can fit together. There's a lot of work to do between now and then. All the stages have to come, but of trying to cure Fanconi anemia at the same time. But Be the Match is a big part, not only for Fanconi anemia, but for all the cancers and all the different blood diseases that are out there in this world. And like I say, so many people. There's so many great people out there helping. And we actually have one person who I think has had 3 or 4, maybe 5 times has matched people. Believe it or not, and had that frequent opportunity to be able to do that, and to be able to say, you know, that you've been able to help that many people. It's an amazing deal, and thanks for all the people who do that.
You got a chance to meet those folks and meet those doctors, and I know you were fired up. Those coaches.
It is. I mean, like I say, football is important in all the things we do, but you know, there's a larger picture of things. If we can do this and help promote and bring awareness to all the different things and diseases and things that are out there that we can help with, man, what a greater gift that God can give you.
And that is Be the Match, and text Aggies to 61474 to learn more, and you'll be hearing more because they will be our partner for Saturday's game against Lamar. Okay, on Facebook, we have to see if this is true or not. David Alonzo says, ask Coach about his junior high football field. Wasn't 100 yards long, and one goalpost was on a hillside.
It was.
Good times in the old neighborhood.
That's what we had to hit when you had to hit a home run. You had to hit it. You had to hit it over that bank and up in the parking lot. And it was in about 360 feet in that corner, but it was about 95 yards long. And the other 10, the field was, yeah, and it was a park they had up there.
How about that?
One of the goalposts set right at the base of that hill, and you had to kick it up. Yep, you sure did.
There's some great memories.
Hey, and we complain about what we got now.
That's right. David,
that was more. I'm not sure it wasn't more fun to do.
You would
as
go
much
back
fun
in a
as it is.
heartbeat, wouldn't you?
I would. I mean, be a kid and go through those memories again every time you drive by. I always drive by those old parks. I do when I go home, and just for the memories, not of myself,
right,
but of the relationships and the people you saw and the things that went on, and you just think how big you thought that was and where you're at now, but how great you don't realize how good you had at those times.
No, remember how good the water tasted coming out of the hose?
Oh yeah,
no one drinks out of a hose any longer.
You wasn't allowed inside to get out of my house. Get out there and drink out of the hose. Drink out of the water spigot.
When we got kicked out as kids, we were out for a whole
You're making a mess. Is it get your water out? So I got the hose outside. Drink your water, and pull it in the shade, because if it got hot, then it was miserable because you couldn't get no cold water. The hose was hot all day. That's exactly right.
He is Jimbo Fisher. We'll have more questions when we come back to the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's 504 Harvey Road, and this is Aggie Football from Learfield, IMG College. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to send 12 fans on an away game trip to see Texas A&M play at Georgia on November 23rd. To register for the 12th fan trip, visit 12thman.com/12thfantrip. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud corporate partner of Texas A&M Athletics. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. Usually with the questions, we start with Ian. Ian, we're going to move you to the back of the line. I'd like this one for last. But Cameron asks, Coach, Saturday was a tough loss. What's the biggest takeaway from that game?
Well, that you have to go back and say, all right, how did I feel? What did I learn? Why did I make the mistakes I made? What did I get out of this game? And then the takeaway is, how can I get better from this and learn from this and not repeat it? And I think that's the biggest thing. We write down how you feel, what you think, what made you do the things you thought you did, and evaluate them and why, and don't repeat them. And I think in learning to handle that whole environment and atmosphere, which was not any different, but just what I'm saying, from going into playing a big game that you expect to win, and how to deal with those issues, whether you played well, so if you played well, you can repeat that same thing. If you didn't play as well as you wanted to, so you can make adjustments to play better in the next one. And I think the biggest takeaway from that is that we don't learn from it.
Steve wants to know, how do you get the team motivated for Lamar game after the loss of Corbin for the year and the struggle the offense had?
Well, you always do. I mean, whether you struggle offense, defense, everything else. I mean, your struggles ought to motivate you for success. That's exactly what motivates you. And if you think you played well, keep playing well. You know what I mean, on whatever side. And as our team, it is, you know, and that's why I look at people. We don't ever look at it as offense, defense. We look at it as our team, because whether you win 74-72, whether you win 14-7, it's always one. It doesn't matter. And so your motivation to continue to play well and your motivation to correct the mistakes in which you had. That's why you're in this business and why you do what you do.
Marilyn wants to know, who is Kellen's backup?
Zach Calzada.
Asked and answered. Jimbo, you've got some freshmen that if you never saw the roster, you would never know they're freshmen.
No, I mean, that physically and very mature and playing well, and will contribute a bunch this year. And that, you know, we're very blessed to have those. That's for sure.
Ian asks, how has your time as a coach changed you as a person?
You know, I think it didn't make me more patient. Everybody says that. It didn't make me more patient. I know that. That's just who I am. I mean, and what it is. But I think it's made me appreciate how hard it is to be successful, and how many different types of people, personalities, from race, religion, color, different issues, and that all people are really the same. They all want success. They want to be successful. They want to do the things right. Nobody wants to be a mess up. Nobody wants to screw up. And hopefully the wisdom to be able to work with those, good, bad, whether sometimes it's to push them, sometimes it's to hug them, sometimes it's to love them, sometimes it's to kick them in the tail, and I mean challenge them and make them so mad at you they can't see straight. I mean, because some guys, everybody has to get to that point differently, but that really the genuineness of people in the world is really there. And everybody really wants to do well. I think it has, and it's made me appreciate people. And as my kids have gotten older, I see my kids in them. You know what I mean? And I don't think, like I say, I think it's hard to understand what being a parent's like until you are a parent. People don't understand that, and I truly believe that. I didn't. I thought I knew until I was a parent, and it keeps changing me as that kids get older and they face different challenges in the world. So I think it's made me appreciate each kid's challenge and hopefully try to put them in the best position to be successful and help them as much as I possibly can.
We've talked about this before, but the responsibility of and you meet the parents, or you meet the mothers, or you meet the grandmothers, and that responsibility of when they say, "I trust you, coach, with my son to play football." That's always
and that's a big
me.
Trust, and and sometimes they don't have the success they want, and people say, "Well, I trusted you." Well, I know, but at the same time, it's a two-way street too, and that's a fine line. You got to, but it's a typical. People say, "Do you get mad?" No, that's their kids, that's their babies, that's the most important thing in the world to them. I feel the same way about mine.
Right.
I mean, you're being a parent, you wouldn't be in that way, but hopefully we can work together to make sure that each young man becomes the best he can.
And you talk about those connections for life, not just the 4 or 5 years they're with you.
You
right?
do. I mean, hopefully you do if you're trying to do it right.
He is Jimbo Fisher, head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield, IMG College. AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing. That's our thing. As we continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, it is presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. On a wet Wednesday here in College Station. Rain coming through. I know your first 2 days of the week you had to go indoors. Does that change anything for your preparation? Would you rather be outdoors?
Oh, yeah, we would rather be outdoors because you got more room, more individual drills, throwing the deep ball, catching punts, catching kicks. It's a lot different. But we got plenty of that today. So
that's nice.
It was good.
That's nice because I know the first two you were indoors, and it's always hard to watch Braden Mann hit that roof when he punts.
Yeah, exactly. Poke a hole through it.
Absolutely.
Like a rocket going up.
I wanted to get something that Jamon Osborne had said on Monday during the media availability. Everyone kept focusing about what do you do after the loss, and Jamon made it a point of saying, look, even after a win, you've got to look at that tape and see what you did wrong. The winning doesn't excuse. It was what you were saying earlier in this show, and it's that kind of maturity that you're starting. That's why I use the word ownership with a lot of these players.
After a win or after a loss, it's no different. There is no difference. I mean, you may feel differently, but how you approach it, your work ethic, your routine, what you do daily, and the time you watch the film, how much you watch a film, it doesn't change. I mean, you're always growing, and people don't understand that. It's just, and it can't bother you. What you have to have the feeling, but you have to put those behind you. You can't worry about it. That's over with.
Right.
We have to learn from it, process it, and move on. And when those situations occur, hey, that's like that. Let's move on. But that's already processed and moved on, because if you don't, you're not preparing for the next guy. And that's how you got to do it. And this game happens too quick. I mean, you get 24 hours, whether you win, lose, draw, get it set, make the corrections. Let's move on. Let's go.
Same thing in a loss, Jimbo, to look at the good things that were done?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, there's good and bad. We have, you have to do the good things, you do the bad things. Let's repeat those. Let's learn from those. Because if you don't pay attention to the good, how do you repeat them? Sometimes we neglect what we do well, and all of a sudden we don't do it as well because we're working on the negative things so much that you don't do the things you do well as well.
Buddy Johnson said, you don't just wait to play, you prepare to play.
That's exactly right, and that's a fact. Power of preparation, and that's the process. That's the process. It's like a test. When I feel good, when I know I've studied and I can walk in that test, because those answers, when you don't study, they don't miraculously just happen. They just don't jump into your head.
No.
You know what I mean? They just don't come. And when you're on the field, they get exploited. That's what I'm saying. There's enough goes on that physically you got to battle and do things right. And to get it right. But when you really don't understand what's going on and you haven't prepared, then you have no chance.
Jamon said something else, if you'd be kind enough to explain. He said you catch the ball with your eyes.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting.
You got to as I say, put your nose on the ball, put your eyes on the ball. Eyes are the most important thing an athlete can have, because it's the only way it's the only way he can. Only way to get things to your brain is here to see it. Okay, so you have to see, and when you're reacting and processing, you always say he has poor eye discipline. If a guy has poor eye discipline, he can never be a good player. If he doesn't know what to look at, where to look, because he can't process what he's supposed to be processing to allow him to function at the way he's supposed to function, like the ball. That's like the greatest asset a receiver can have. Everybody says great hands, great routes, can stick, can run. No, it isn't. It's great eyes. Shut your eyes, see how many balls you catch.
Yeah.
Huh? I know guys that haven't been fast have caught balls. I know guys who have average hands have made them better. But it's your eyes. You got to put your eyes on the ball, and you got to see the tip of the ball, and it allows you to physically do the things you do.
Separator for someone like Jerry Rice?
Oh, no doubt. The thing about all those guys, those great ones, the Brady's, the Jerry Rice, how about that? The training routine never changed for him.
No.
Win, lose, draw, whatever he did, how he did
Super Bowls and went right back
the next day.
Right?
I mean, it's just, and Magic Johnson talked to our team one time before the national championship out there in California. And they were comparing players and talking about players and, all these great. He said, listen. And he said, guys, this MJ, I love all these guys, but MJ's MJ. It's a different world. And he said, what you don't understand about Michael Jordan, he's the most fundamental basketball player of all time. And what people looks about him jumping and dunking, it's the fundamentals. They don't get bored of doing those simple things. And I have a statement in which we've got to get to. You got to do the ordinary things better than anybody else. The great teams do the ordinary things, what people think are ordinary, better than anybody else. And that's what you have to do. Not the things that everyone sees, but the ordinary things that allow you to function. And we have to get to that.
And that will be the next opportunity will be Saturday. 6 o'clock will be the kick at Kyle Field. 5 o'clock with our pregame show. That's presented by CHI St. Joseph Health. We'll continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road. And the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit, together, we're better. 18 years ago, 9/11. You remember that day?
I sure do. And God bless everyone and everything that ever went on that day. That's I don't know. I do. We were talking about that today in the office.
That happened. 4 days later, I was supposed to fly and do a game in Connecticut. It's the only game I never wanted to do, Jimbo. I lost that desire.
Ours got canceled that week.
Did it? Oh, that's right. That's right.
I was president at that time. I was coaching at LSU. We were getting ready to play Auburn, and I remember I was sitting there getting ready for the game and doing just normal practice week and watching film. And somebody came in and said, a plane just flew into the. I said, really? I said, what? Somebody, and I thought about it, looked, okay. And they did the other, then the other one did, and then it all broke loose, and like, wow. I mean, it was a stunning time. I can remember it. I can remember it plain as day.
Absolutely honored here at Rudy's. Mike Pro is here, FDNY, 18 years ago. Mike, stand up. Thank you, my friend. Just got a chance to meet him. Friend of Jug Caps. He is visiting and the entire Caps family. Mike, thank you. It just turned the world upside down. My first game after that was Virginia Tech, and one of the brothers of someone who was killed in the attack ran the flag out, and I don't know if I've ever been more emotional at a game than watching that.
I can remember the next time we come out to play. It was
different, wasn't it, Jimbo? It was different.
It was. I mean, how close we came as a country, how together we were, and how we remember why this country is the greatest country in the world and why we love it so much. And we need to remember those things again.
Certainly do. 18 years ago. Mike, thank you for being here and everything that you did at that time. Thank you. Thank you, crowd. Appreciate that. Let me take a break. We'll come back. Let's talk Lamar when we come back. We'll wrap it up by previewing the game against Lamar on Saturday, 6 o'clock at Kyle Field. This is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credits from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College. Thank you. Final segment of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit from Rudy's 504 Harvey Road with the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. Lamar on Saturday. You know, you're kind enough to allow me to talk with you every Wednesday in his office. I always ask you, what do you want to see? And at no time does Coach ever say, we've got to rush for 100 yards, we've got to do. I love those intangibles that you talk about. Poise is right there at the top of the list, isn't it?
It is. We got to play with all the toughness and all that, but we got to have poise. Be able to have poise and execution and embrace the moment and understand what to do and how to do it and do it very well. And we need to get back to doing that consistently.
You always talk about getting in and out of the huddle. You talk about not taking penalties, that kind of stuff. Can you correct those mistakes on Saturday against Lamar?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, the self-inflicted wounds, that's the things you have to get cleaned up to make sure that you give yourself a chance. And, I don't know many people walk around and penalize themselves. You know what I mean? And that's what, you can't do. And sometimes it happens, but you got to get it cleaned up.
Anything else you'd like? I mean, this becomes, again, you can only control what you can control, correct? You don't worry about opponent because mistake-free football wins.
We have to prepare well. We have to prepare for what they do, then go do what we do well. It's about putting, your will upon them, as they say. And it's that's what the game is about. And that's what people say, well, the momentum of the game. It's, well, whose will is being put upon each, they're doing it to you, you're doing it to them. That's what competition is. You got to be able to, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad. You have to withstand that, but you have to drive it. And once you get it down, you have to be consistent. Don't let up, and you have to learn to play that way. And we have to do that in all phases of our game, all three: offense, defense, special teams. Control the ball, take care of it, do what we have to do, be physical in the run game and stop the run. They say the turnovers, the third downs, the big plays, the red zone, tight zone, and we got to get better at that in offense. I probably had more failures this year than we did in a long time. And it's very fixable. We got to get better down there. We've worked down there, so hopefully we will.
See you on Saturday. Beat the hell out of Lamar. We'll see you next Wednesday, Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you.
Show. Hey, this copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield IMG College under the broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of Texas A&M University and Learfield IMG College. Announcers are provided by Learfield IMG College and Texas A&M University. We'll talk to you 5 o'clock with the CHI St. Joseph Health pregame show. The kick is at 6. And a reminder, be the match. Text Aggies to 61474. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie Football from Learfield.